Hey everybody, I'm Justin, International Man of Mystery Fraction, and we're back with another TPS update. Every sports team has a goal of winning a championship. We've seen many consistently dominant teams win one title, and after that first victory, the goal is obviously to win more and form a dynasty. But sometimes one is all you get. On the flip side, the perennial powerhouses never even took home that one title, let alone multiple. Today, TPS dives into the 10 greatest dynasties that never were. And a huge shout out to Bernie WoodIII for suggesting this list. We hope you enjoyed, and if you do, feel free to leave your ideas down below, and you never know, we might get to it and give you a shout out. Number 10, 2000's Phoenix Suns. Steve Nash and the Suns really couldn't be cooled off by anything. The 2005 and 2006 league MVP formed quite a super team with the likes of Sean Marion and Amari Stoudemire. Armed with so many sidekicks, Nash led the Suns to the Western Conference Finals in 2005, 6, and 10. Unfortunately, other great teams like the Spurs and Lakers got in the way. Nash never took the Suns to the NBA Finals, and these long-term winners never formed a dynasty. How things could have been different if Stoudemire's knees held up. Number 9, Brett Favre's Green Bay Packers. Favre was quarterback of the Packers from 1992 to 2007. He was a 3-time NFL MVP and led them to a Super Bowl 31 championship. It looked like a dynasty was about to form, but Favre's Packers were shocked by the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 32, so that sucked. The Packers were a consistent playoff team under Favre, but they just kept underachieving in the postseason. His interception in the overtime of the 2007 NFC Championship against the New York Giants also cost Green Bay one more Super Bowl in the Favre era. One title was nice, but Favre and the Pack really should have brought more titles to Titletown. Number 8, 90s Cleveland Indians. The amount of talent on this team rivaled that of the 90s New York Yankees, who were in fact a dynasty. Where can we start? Big-time slugger Manny Ramirez, all-time home run legend Jim Thome. And what about David Justice, Halle Berry's ex-husband? The Indians made the playoffs every year from 1995 to 1999. They would have made it in 1994 as well had there not been a lockout. But sadly, no championship nor dynasty came into fruition. Cleveland lost to the Atlanta Braves in the 1995 World Series. The Indians made it again in 1997. But they coughed up a lead in the bottom of the 9th inning in Game 7 and lost in extras. With little payroll, the Indians couldn't afford to keep their stars, and the should-have-been dynasty broke up. Such a shame. Number 7, 2000 San Jose Sharks. The Sharks entered the NHL as an expansion team in 1991. Their first decade in the league was rough, as they'd won just 2 playoff series between 1992 and 2001. But during the 2001-2 season, they began to assert themselves as one of the league's powerhouses. Over the course of the next 9 seasons, the Sharks would finish atop the Pacific Division 6 times. They reached the postseason in 8 of those 9 seasons, but rather than win a title, they earned the label of playoff chokers. With the likes of Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau leading the way, many expected San Jose to break through at some point. They did reach the conference finals 3 times between 2001 and 11, but that's about as far as they'd make it, leaving them well short of dynasty status. Number 6, 2010's Boston Celtics. The Celtics had enough of Paul Pierce being a one-man team. So in the 2007 offseason, they landed the greatest three-point man ever in Ray Allen and one of the most dominant big men, Kevin Garnett. The moves paid dividends immediately. Boston won the NBA championship in 2008 and looked poised for more. But Garnett suffered a bad knee injury that ended his 2009 season, and the Celtics fell to the Orlando Magic in the second round. Boston narrowly lost to the Lakers in a thrilling 7-game NBA Finals series in 2010. Then the Miami Heat Big Three came along and ended the Celtics' final run. A bit of health and a couple of more bounces, and the C's truly could have pulled off a three-peat. Number 5, 70s Minnesota Vikings. Fran Tarkenton was an elite quarterback. The Vikings' Purple People Eaters defense was one of the greatest ever assembled. The Vikings had all the makings to be a dynasty, but as everybody knows, it didn't happen. They lost Super Bowl 4 to the Kansas City Chiefs, but that was only the beginning of their heartbreak. Minnesota would lose 3 Super Bowls during a 4-year span in the mid-70s. They couldn't win a ring nor form a dynasty, so close yet so far. Number 4, 90s Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz were a powerhouse in the 80s and 90s. They had a 2-time MVP in Karl Malone and a flashy point guard in John Stockton, who's also the all-time leader in assists and steals. The Jazz made the playoffs every year from 1984 to 2003, but they were at their peak level of dominance in the 90s. Utah lost in the 1992, 94, and 96 Western Conference Finals. They finally reached the NBA Finals in 1997 and 98, but lost to the Chicago Bulls dynasty both times. If not for MJ, the Jazz could have been quite the dynasty. Shocking how it never worked out that way. Number 3, 2000's Indianapolis Colts. When Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts won Super Bowl 41, some said about time. Others thought one of many. Well, there's a truth to both sides. Given how he's the all-time leader in MVPs, passing yards, and passing touchdowns, it shouldn't have taken Manning 8 years to win his first ring. but the Colts just kept losing all these close playoff games. They could have won Super Bowl 44, but the special teams totally let them down. And if Manning didn't sit out the entire 2011 season, he could have stayed a Colt and could have won more championships with them. One Super Bowl in Indy is a crime. Manning and the Colts should have been a dynasty. Number 2, 90s Buffalo Bills. 4 straight Super Bowl losses in the 90s. 4 straight Super Bowl losses in the 90s. In 5 words, should have been a dynasty. Moving on. Number 1, 90s Atlanta Braves. The Braves had arguably the greatest pitching staff ever. You had Greg Maddux, who should have just changed his name to the other Cy Young. You had Tom Glavine, who won a pair of Cy Youngs of his own. Finally, they had John Smoltz, an 8-time All-Star. The Braves were a model franchise. They won the 1995 World Series, defeating the Cleveland Indians. But there should have been more. They lost in the 91, 92, 96, and 99 NLCS. On top of that, they fell in the 97 and 98 NLCS. The 90s Braves just showed how hard it is to win multiple titles. You have to respect the dynasties, because even this legendary Brave squad only came away with 1 title. But really, the makings were there for them to be something more. What are some of the other dynasties that never were? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And I am getting out of this hot studio, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm sweating, man. And women. I'm just like, hot. Summer, summer, summertime. We'll see you guys next time.